Hey everyone, and welcome back to a new video. Today we are looking at the first book in the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. Eva and Alize have been telling me to review Penelope Douglas for forever, since they have both reviewed her novel Credence and it was terrible. I decided to go down a different route and read these Devil's Night books. There's 4 in the series. We're going to be talking about the first one today. It is one of the worst books I've ever read. Let's just get that out there. You guys know I don't like dark romance. Or rather, no, that's not true. It's not for me, but I don't have a problem with the genre as a whole. What I have a problem with is abuse romanticised in books and rape romanticised. These aren't dark romance. These are just glorified abuse and rape in a novel form. But I don't want to get too, preachy and be like, ooh, these... Because I've done all of that before. Today, I just want to kind of, point out how absolutely, utterly ridiculous this book is, how poorly written it is, how poorly written all the characters are, how completely unbelievable it is, and just have a laugh at a really, really bad book. There is one thing that I want to point out before we get started, and that is that there is an issue on some of the Amazon listings for this series, in which the box set of the series, the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas, 4-book collection set, Corrupt, Hideaway, Killswitch, and Nightfall, they're listed as children's books. They are apparently bestsellers in the children's books category. They rank 2,811 in children's books. These are books that have incredibly graphic sex scenes, incredibly graphic rape scenes, constant abuse of women and harassment of women, all done very graphically. There is a lot of swearing, there's a lot of bad language, there's women being called sluts and whores and bitches and the C word. These should not be categorised in children's books at all, and that is a bit of a concern. The individual books thankfully weren't, as far as I could see, but the box set was, as you can see from the screenshots. So that is something I find concerning and just wanted to point out. Now, with that in mind, let's talk about how ridiculous this book is. So it centres around this young woman called Erica, although everyone calls her Rika, but I think that's a stupid name, so I'm going to call her Erica. And I don't know about anyone else, but I'm a little bit sick of reading about rich people doing rich people things while being rich, and they can do anything they want because they're rich. It's just a bit boring, isn't it? Can't relate to it. Yeah. Our female main character, Erica, is different from the other girls because she has a scar on her neck. I was like, I'm sure this is going to be a big thing. I'm going to get a tragic backstory later, but it's revealed in chapter 2, and it's of no consequence at all. Erica is 19, and she was dating Trevor, a nice, rich boy who she grew up with and is the same age as, and blah, blah, blah. She says that he's the nice brother and that it's her fault she doesn't love him, but honestly, he seems absolutely terrible from the first page. He's controlling, he's manipulative, he's a little bit of a stalker, he gives her no personal space. She breaks up with him and he still kisses her without consent. Trevor is not a nice guy, as much as she wants to tell us that he is. But she says she just doesn't love him. She wants someone who makes her heart beat. Like his brother Michael. Ooh, the older brother Michael, the not-so-nice brother. Apparently 3 years ago, when she was just 16 and he was around 21-ish, the older brother Michael and her had a moment, but nothing came of it. We will see what this moment is later, and it's creepy as hell. Erica is just about to go into her second year of uni, and she is moving universities to go to a new one, which is actually near where the older brother is. So obviously, they're going to run into each other, if you will. The female main character has a Tesla. The big thing is made of that aged poorly. She also has a dead dad and a depressed, neglectful, alcoholic mother. So she actually spends a lot of her time staying at Michael and Trevor's house because their mum has kind of adopted her as a daughter in a way, non-officially, but she's known her all her life. It's yes, I'll look after you. there's a thing where she's at this party that's like her leaving party sort of thing, and then she goes home and there's this dagger on her bed. Someone's left it in like a gift box and it's creepy. And then outside there's these 3 masked men watching her, and it's like, ooh, we're setting up a mystery. She says, "I'd loved daggers and swords ever since I started fencing at age 8. My father preached that the arts of a gentleman were not only timeless but necessary. Chess would teach me strategy, fencing would teach me human nature and self-preservation, and dancing would teach me my body, all necessary for a well-rounded person." So, fun fact, we never see her dance in... Actually, no, we do see her dance, but not, like, proper dancing. It's more just, like, drunken grinding at a party. I don't know what that was. The chess never comes up. Fencing comes up twice. Once to make her bump into Michael, and the other time to just set up a really badly written sex scene, which we'll get to. But yeah, this is meant to show us that, like, oh, look, she's a well-rounded character with hobbies and a personality, except none of that is ever expanded on or comes up or is relevant at all. So inside the gift box with the dagger, there is a threatening note that says, "Beware the fury of a patient man." This seems to be a line that a lot of fans of this book really like, and they all quote, and they think it's, like, really hot and sexy, and I'm like, that's just a threat. There's nothing sexy about threats. Chapter 2. This is told from Erica's perspective, but 3 years ago. We get the reveal immediately about her scar, and it's just quite boring. When she was 13, she was in a car accident that killed her dad and gave her the scar. She kind of glosses over all that, though, and just makes a big deal about how she's got a big crush on Michael, the older brother. One of the random men in this book, I can't even remember who it was, I just screenshot this, I don't know who says it, but apparently they say to her, "Rika." He lowered his voice, his brown eyes gentle. "Baby, you're beautiful. Long blonde hair, legs that no guy in this school can ignore, and the prettiest blue eyes in town. You're gorgeous." Erica is Hitler's dream girl. Also, no one talks like this. No one would come up to me and be like, "Rachel, you've got pink hair," or "You've got red hair," or "You've got whatever colour hair my hair is at the time." Like, no one talks like this. No one would go up to their friend and say, like, "Hey, it's okay, you're ginger." Like, you just don't describe people to the people. It's just poor writing. Anyway, so Erica is 16. She's young. Some 16-year-olds can be very responsible, you know? Like, in the UK, you leave school at 16. I had a job at that time. I had 2 jobs at that time. Like, you know, I had a lot of stuff going on. That's not true of Erica. She's very naive. She's very sheltered. She's very like, "Ooh, I'm such an innocent little girl." It's a bit weird. So she's this, like, little 16-year-old kid. And her school is visited by the Four Horsemen. And these are the main love interests in the 4 books in this series, right? This is who it's all about. Michael is one of them, the older brother. But the other 3 are Damon Torrance, Kai Mori, and Will Grayson III. Will is quite funny because throughout this entire book, he's just not really there. He gets forgotten about. He's barely mentioned. Like, even when there's action, he's always kind of off doing something, like drowning in the water, like, so he's not actually involved in it. During one of the other scenes, he's just napping in the car. Like, Will is a no-one. It's quite funny. Also, I think Will was the last one to get his own book. He's book number 4, so I kind of feel like even Penelope Douglas didn't really like him or know what she wanted to do with the character or write any sort of character or personality for him. But, because she had in mind, like, these 3 guys that she wanted to write, but the 3 Horsemen doesn't really have the same ring to it, does it? Anyway, it's so funny. So they're, like, 5 years older. Because they graduated from the school as she started. So if she's currently 16, then they're like 20 or 21, right? In the present, she's 19 and he's like 23. So basically he needs to stay away from her. It's creepy. I was like, why are these like 21-year-old guys going back to their high school? And like they wear these stupid masks because that's like their thing apparently, and they like parade down the hallway and everyone's like, "Oh my god, they're here. And I'm like, 1, this would not happen in real life, and 2, they're grown adult men going back to their school because they want to show off, and it's kind of giving peaked in high school. It's just a bit pathetic, but we're meant to think they're like really cool for this. It's like, oh, shut up. Four Horsemen not only ruled the student body in the town when they attended school here, but they commanded the court and hardly ever lost in the 4 years they played. That's basketball, apparently. Finally figured that out. I assume that's why the Horsemen were here now, called back from college for the weekend to inspire the team, or do whatever they had to do to pump them up and get them on track before the season started. So I guess at least they have a reason, but it's still a bit sad, you know? And the fact they're still wearing these stupid masks. And we find out later, these are paintball masks that they're wearing, and they're like meant to be quite intimidating or something. It's funny. It's funny as hell. Oh, actually, no. This is the weird thing. I have in my notes here that Erica says that the masks that they wear were like from a computer game, but at the end of the book we're told they were paintball masks, so I don't know. I have no idea. Either way, it's a bit sad. So Michael starts like looking at Erica, who's like sat in class, and he's like, you know, brooding as he does, and I'm like, you're a grown man, she's a child, stop it. And thankfully the teacher calls it out too with, she's only 16. Mr. Fitzpatrick spoke up. Michael held my eyes for another second and then turned his head, looking at Mr. Fitzpatrick. Like, no, just stay away from the children, please. Tonight would be chaos. Devil's Night wasn't just hazing, it was special. Not only would they grab players from all the rooms and take them to an undisclosed location, rough them up a bit and get them drunk, but later the Horsemen would wreak havoc and turn the whole town into their playground. So these adult men come back to their hometown to pick up a bunch of children basketball players so they can get them drunk, terrorize them, hurt them, abuse them. And then when it says like turn the whole town into their playground, what she actually means is they go out and commit really serious crimes like arson. Like, I'm not even joking. We'll get to it. Erica decides she is going to skip class to go follow them, and they are literally, oh god, they're so noncy. Like, these are some of the nonciest characters I've ever read. It's really bad. Holy crap, those legs, Will went on. A year did her a lot of good. Yeah, I'm missing high school girls, Damon said, opening the passenger door to the Raptor. They don't give any lip. The legs that Will is talking about are Erica's. So he's been looking at her when she was 15. He's looking at her now she's 16. It's creepy as hell. Damon misses high school girls. Damon's the worst. He is the nonciest of all nonces. Like, we'll get there, don't worry. And honestly, I kind of feel like this is why adults like this shouldn't be allowed back in schools unless they have a full CRB check, right? Because that's creepy as hell. And it gets worse. Then I heard another voice laugh softly. I thought it was Kai. Dude, I dare you, he challenged like he knew something. She's beautiful, but I'd wait until she's legal. I'll try, I heard Michael say. A year did her a lot of good too. She's getting harder not to notice. Again, they're talking about the 16-year-old Erica. It's creepy as hell. Chapter 3, present day, Erica's perspective again. Let's remember she's 19 at this point, so still quite young, but at least she is an adult. She is shocked to find that instead of staying in a reasonably sized, super expensive flat, she's been secretly upgraded to a super duper fancy, even more expensive penthouse flat in the same building. Because it turns out, and for the same price as well, because, you know, she has unlimited millions in the bank, and why not make her use them? The rich people always get free stuff, don't they? Anyway, yeah, it turns out that it's Michael and his family who own the building, which is why she's got upgraded. Again, it's just rich people doing rich people stuff, and I don't care about it. We're also told that there is an even fancier penthouse flat above her that has its own private lift. We already know this is going to be Michael's flat. It's not surprising. So here's where it gets weird, and we get the first rape of the book. And just to warn you now, there are a lot of rapes and a lot of sexual assaults in this book. Not all of them are labelled as such, but it's pretty bad. So Erica wakes up in the middle of the night she's on a floor with like 2 penthouse flats, right? The other one's supposedly empty, but instead she hears the sound of a woman being raped inside. We're talking screams, yelling no, grunting. So she obviously gets freaked out and she's like, oh my god, I'm going to run away. And she runs down the stairs and she's going to try and get security. But instead, at the bottom of the stairs, she bumps into Michael with a young lady. She learns that it's his family's building. She didn't know this before. She didn't know this before, they're the reason she got the upgrade, blah, blah, blah. Also, it turns out that Michael has a key to every apartment in the building, including hers. And I was like, oh, I'm sure this will come up again and he'll use it to be creepy or whatever. But I'm not sure if it does. There's a thing later where someone breaks into her flat, but we don't know if it's using Michael's key or not. So it's kind of still not really hugely relevant. It's just, there's a lot of random things shoved in this book that don't necessarily make the most sense. Isn't that right, gorgeous girl? Yes. He then makes his first threat of many to her, and he threatens her finances, and he tells her if there's any way she can't pay the rent, then she can still pay him with her body. This is foreshadowing his entire evil plan for this book. It's very predatory, very creepy, do not like. Also, while she's like freaking out about stuff and he's like, oh, I'll take you back up to your flat, she never outright says, I heard someone being raped, even though that's what she heard. So she's just letting potentially an innocent woman be raped and do nothing about it. It's very odd. Chapter 4 is the first one from Michael's perspective, and his voice is identical to Erica's. I've never read a Penelope Douglas before this one, but I also get the feeling that, like people like Colleen Hoover, she's not a very good author in that she can't give her characters distinct voices. That's true here. There's an action-y chapter later where it was so poorly written, I kept being like, wait, is this Michael or Erica? And I didn't know who it was, and I was confused, and I was like, ugh. Anyway. I had to keep going back and checking. Our first introduction to Michael is him insulting and swearing at and about Erica just to himself. You know, he says, no one else knew her, not the way I did. I knew better. I knew how good she was. Erica Fane played her parts well. The dutiful, self-sacrificing daughter for her mother, the pleasant, agreeable girlfriend for my brother, and a shining student and beauty in our seaside community growing up. Everyone loved her. She thought she was nothing to me, insignificant and invisible. She wanted me to open my eyes and see her so effing badly, but she didn't realise that I already did. I knew the deceiving C word that stewed underneath that perfect sheen of hers, and I couldn't forget. So he seems nice. So he goes home, finally, after taking Erica back home, and the woman that he was with is just, like, naked in his apartment. Turns out she's a prostitute, I'll tell you that now. And he just talks about her in the most degrading way. He says, it was my job to attack, and hers to be the willing piece of meat, I guess. God, I was so effing bored. There's a lot of comparing women to objects in this book, you'll notice. First up, a piece of meat, apparently. His whole thing is just, I'm angry all the time and I have a lot of sex. That's the only facet to his personality. He's also apparently supposed to be this, like, professional basketball player, but we never actually see him going to training, playing any matches, doing any work, doing PR. Like, it's like he doesn't have a job. He's just angry and has sex. So he's weird about Erica too, and clearly he's planning something. He is, we know this, it's the whole premise of the book. Because he knows that she'll end up hating him, and it's all very predatory, and yet he still starts, like, touching himself to the thought of her while the prostitute's still there. And it's really weird. He's, like, watching her from his penthouse through her window and she doesn't know, and then he starts touching himself, and I'm like, that's sexual harassment, isn't it? That's creepy as hell. He says, after 3 long years, she was here, they were here, and I could hardly think of anything else. I wondered if she'd still want me when all was said and done. After all the years of watching me, probably wishing I'd touch her, wouldn't it be effing ironic when I finally did take her in my hands and pressed my body into hers, that she despised me. Yeah, you're going to be in my bed, baby, but not until you wish you hated me. I'd done very well at ignoring her during my life, at first because she was too young for me to care, and then because I needed to be patient. Now the timing was perfect. That's so creepy and groomery, isn't it? Now the timing was perfect. She was here and so was I, only I wasn't alone. And the best part, she didn't know that we knew. She didn't know that we were coming for her. So I said at this point in my notes, please do not tell me him and his friends are planning to gang rape her. And so much more. It gets oh my god. This book gets dark. It's ridiculous. He's clearly got some issues. He needs a therapist, right? I think we can all agree on that. He says, the closer you get to anything beautiful, the less beautiful it became. Allure was in the mystery, not the appearance. Yeah, get a therapist. Please, do us all a favour. Actually, Penelope Douglas probably needs a therapist if she's writing this stuff. It's concerning. So, like I say, he starts touching himself, watching Erica through the windows. Creepy as hell, predatory as hell. He kicks out the naked prostitute, but not before threatening that his friends might rape her. But I guess that doesn't matter because she's just a prostitute. Except on her way out, his friends show up, and then one of them does decide he wants her and he'll have sex with her. It's unclear whether it's rape or not, but she doesn't show any signs of trauma afterwards, so it's hard to say. It's just a whole thing. It's Damon who is the one who's creepy, and she's literally like trying to leave and trying to get out and trying to get in the lift and trying to dodge past them, and he literally won't let her. He like grabs hold of her and orders her to sleep with him. He's paying, thankfully, but he still lies. He publicly degrades her. He strips her in public. It's all just very disgusting and predatory, and it's not okay. It turns out that the sounds that Erica heard were these three with some girls in the apartment next to her, which I'm pretty sure implies they brought girls back to rape them. So we know they've raped girls. This is never acknowledged in the book. Okay. Another bit of casual rape. I don't know if you're keeping tally, but don't turn this into a drinking game, right? If you guys took a shot every time someone was raped, sexually assaulted, or sexually harassed in this book, you would not have a liver by the end of this video. I'm just saying that. It's also revealed at this point that the three of them, Damon, Kai, and Will, see, even I forget he exists, have been in prison for the last 3 years. And I said at this point, what are we betting it's because they raped someone? I was half wrong. I wasn't a third wrong. We'll say that. Chapter 5, and we're back to Erica 3 years ago. So she snuck into this party thing, and it's at this like abandoned church cathedral thing, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And Michael catches her and thinks it's a good idea to give the 16-year-old child beer. Now, some people on YouTube don't really like me saying this, but in Yorkshire, where I'm from, it was, and especially like when I was younger, it was very common for us to like go out to bars and pubs and stuff when we were like 16 and have a drink then, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying I think teenagers should get drunk, but I am saying that like I think it's okay if like a 16-year-old wants to experiment with like trying a drink with their friends, or you know, and they can do it in a safe environment and they know like what their limits are and how to drink responsibly. Like I think it's okay. I think it's normal. However, there's a huge difference between like a 16-year-old being like, I am going to have a drink with my other 16-year-old friends, and a 20-year-old and a 21-year-old man going, I am going to give this 16-year-old beer. Do you know what I mean? The second one is predatory, to be like, I am going to give an underage child a drink. Creepy. Because like it's less about giving a teenager an opportunity to like learn something about themselves and life and experiment, and more about an adult trying to take advantage of a vulnerable teenager. Do you know what I mean? That's what's creepy. Anyway, not the point. So he decides that the next sensible thing is to start physically pushing her and pulling her around. He holds her in place even when she has to let go, and then he blindfolds her with her school tie and drags her around some more. He then pushes her over onto a dirty stone floor and abandons her, telling her to wait blindfolded, even though she doesn't know where she is or who else is there. This whole scene is written like, or it's intended to be written to be sexy and fun and a bit thrilling, but it's creepy and sad, and there is an actual sexual assault here, just to warn you. It's horrifying. I actually felt quite sick reading. I felt sick reading a lot of this novel, actually. It's horrifying. And then he pushed me. I gasped, stumbling forward, my flats grinding against the dirt and dust-ridden stone floors as my arms shot out, trying to keep me from falling as I breathed quickly. This is more of a horror book, or some like genuinely sad story about a woman who is consistently abused and assaulted and has a lot of trauma from it. This isn't, like, I don't see how anyone can read any of this and be like, this is an erotic novel. It doesn't make sense to me. So while this 16-year-old girl is blindfolded and scared and feeling humiliated because she now realizes she's surrounded by other students from her school, Damon comes up to her and sexually assaults her. He starts touching her lips, her hips, grabbing at her chest without her consent, He touches her between her legs without her consent. She tells him to stop and he won't. Then Kai tells him to stop and he does, but with resistance. Damon sighed and challenged in a bored tone. I take what I want when I want it, Kai. We're not in high school anymore. I ground my teeth together, struggling against him, but he wrapped both arms around my waist like a steel band, and I felt his whisper above my ear. So like I say, he then grabs her between her legs and she tries to scream, but he covers her mouth with his hand, and this is literally just sexual assault. Like, there's no other way to describe it. It's not like, oh, she ends up liking it. It's like, no, she's genuinely struggling and screaming, and it's sexual assault. Kai says he knows who she is and that she is Erica because, he continued behind me, his voice lowering. You wore an amazing black bikini at the 4th of July cookout at the beach this past summer. I looked longer than I should have. My cheeks instantly warmed. What did he just say? Yeah, and she was a 15-year-old girl then, and you were in your 20s. Stop it. Erica says she admires the Four Horsemen, and I'm sorry, are we forgetting that one of them literally just sexually assaulted you just seconds ago? And it turns out Michael was watching the whole time and let it all just happen, and then he blames her for not taking the blindfold off and running away, which is victim blaming. He even tells her, toughen up, he bit out in a whisper as his breath fell across my cheeks. You're not a victim and I'm not your saviour. You handled it, end of story. Oh, well, I guess that's alright then, isn't it? He takes her downstairs to the Catacombs, where it's basically like a weird orgy of adult men and young girls still in school. Bit weird, anyway. And also, Catacombs doesn't seem sanitary to me, but whatever. And she has this moment with Michael where you think they're going to be intimate, but then Trevor, the younger brother, walks in and it's like, I'm taking you home, young lady. And then he drags her out and he's controlling as always, but it's probably better than letting an adult man pour at her like a creep. So, I mean, everyone's bad in this. There's not a single decent man. Even the fathers are creepy. We'll get there, don't worry. Chapter 6, present-day Erica, and she does some uni stuff, by which I mean she has one meeting and then argues on the phone with Trevor about where she's living. There are, at least in this, more attempts to give Erica a life outside of the men, in a way. So, like, in Colleen Hoover books, we don't ever see the stuff like them going to class or them having a hobby. In this, there's at least an attempt to show some of that stuff, but it's still not done well because it's only ever with the intention to set up her meeting a man or speaking to a man or talking about a man. Do you know what I mean? So it's still not done well. This book would not pass the Bechdel test. Like, let's just get that out there. She then tries to join a fencing club, but she finds out that the only one in town is actually like an all-men's club and is no girls allowed, obviously. And everyone's really rude to her. And then Michael spots her there and gives her a lecture about how women aren't the only ones who need safe spaces. And this is a quote, men need them too to get away from nagging women. I know. If you actually want an in-depth discussion about gendered spaces and what makes some inclusionary and some exclusionary, go check out my last video on the Whatever podcast. I spoke about it there. So Erica decides, screw this, I'm going to put on a baseball cap and pretend to be a man and run into the club anyway, and then she runs in, and it's meant to show that she can totally be rebellious, but mostly it's just to set up her literally running into Damon while she's there, and when she sees him, she has a flashback. She says, my stomach churned at the stench of him smoking, bringing back memories of that night. I'd had to take 2 showers to get that smell off me. I may have felt a little bad over the years about what happened to his friends, but to him, not so much. So at this point, I thought there was like some big mystery where like it turns out Damon raped her. I wasn't actually that far off, sadly. So Michael finds her in the club and kicks her out, which is kind of completely fair, to be honest, but not before being completely patronising, saying things like, there are some places that aren't for you, he said slowly, filling each word with meaning as if talking to a child. When you're wanted, you're invited. If you weren't invited, then you weren't wanted. Does that make sense? You don't belong here and you're not welcome. Do you understand? He asked again. That was English, Rika, he barked, making me jump. A dog listens better than you, he says as Kyra's grumbling around the room. Do you want to get on the balcony, Angel? 1 second. Tears immediately pooled and my chin trembled. I swallowed the lump, feeling my stomach ache, and I felt like I wanted to sink into the hole and disappear and forget. And then she runs away crying because everyone is absolutely awful in this book. They're just bad people. But on the way, as she's trying to run away, Michael grabs her and holds onto her and won't let her move, and he tries to get her into his car, and she keeps trying to leave, and he's literally holding her by the neck and shoulders, and she's crying, and he's like literally physically restraining her in the car. The valet guy who's at the club is obviously concerned and is like, what the hell is this woman being kidnapped? But Michael's just like, I'm rich, I'm powerful, leave me to it. So apparently money means well, actually, yes. Money means you can get away with assaulting women, clearly. Donald Trump. You know what, maybe this book isn't so far-fetched. Chapter 7, and we're on to Michael's chapter. He's all bitter because everyone back home likes Erica, he says, and he admits that even his own father, who has known her since she was a literal baby, has been creepy about her too. He says, hell, I'd even caught my piece of crap father looking at her once or twice over the years. Everyone thought the world of Rika. So that's creepy. Why are there no good men in this book? Why? I think books like this do make me concerned about the authors, because I'm like, if this is what Penelope Douglas finds sexy, if this is what she thinks a good man is, if this is just what she thinks all men are like, if this is what she thinks makes a good romance, and, you know, characters like Michael, she thinks this is the kind of man that women should marry, because that's what happens at the end of the book. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm like, well, what kind of men has she been around if she thinks this is the norm? It's very concerning, isn't it? So Michael goes to some club, like not like a members club, like a dancey club thing, but obviously he doesn't dance. His basketball team are there, and so are his 3 friends. Kai and Damon do all the talking again. We don't hear from Will. He's just a background character with a name. God, we're 25% of the way into the book here. Oh my god, this is another thing, right? This book is needlessly long. It's like 450 pages, and it did not need to be. So damn stupid. Okay, Damon is creepy and dangerous, and he sexually assaults a woman in a club. Don't take a shot, you will die, remember. He's really unhinged. Kai started off reasonable, but now he's just angry and awful and wants revenge. But he's also kind of straight edge now, because he won't have sex, and he won't drink, and he won't do anything, and blah, blah, blah. So he's not one of the ones who raped the women in the apartment, because he apparently doesn't know how to touch a woman anymore since he got out of prison, something, I don't know. And Will, we know nothing about. We do learn later he's drinking a lot, but that's his only personality trait. The Four Horsemen, being rich, powerful, and incredibly smart, decide that a public place like a club where everyone is drunk and listening and the entire basketball team's there and there's probably like photographers and people with phones and everything, they think that this is a really, really good place to discuss their criminal plans. I'm not even joking. The first part of their plan is getting rid of Erica's mother. Michael is casually carrying around Rohypnol, as you do, because their plan is to drug her, apparently. Damon says he wants to keep some Rohypnol for personal use, and then says, "It was a joke," he grumbled. "You really think I need to rape women?" Well, it's not about need, is it? You just have been doing it. You didn't need to sexually assault 16-year-old Erica, but you did. You didn't need to sexually assault the woman in the club, but you did. You didn't need to rape the girl you went to prison for, but you did. You didn't need to do any of that, but you did. And this is where we get some backstory. Kai stood up, slipping the bag into his breast pocket. "Well, you were in jail." "I didn't rape her," Damon gritted out. I shook my head. Why the hell would Kai take a shot like that? "We know that," I answered for Kai, pushing Damon back. The girl had been underage and Damon had been 19. He shouldn't have done it, but he hadn't forced her either. Unfortunately, the law believed differently. Minors couldn't consent to anything, and Damon had simply effed up. But it wasn't rape. Yeah, no, that is literally rape. If she's underage and you're an adult, that's rape. Straight up. Sorry. I mean, obviously there's nuance here. Like, if the age of consent is 18 and she's a week away from being 18 and you're, like, a week over 18, technically statutory rape, but probably not that bad. I think that you can consent there. However, if, like, you're a 19 or 20-year-old man and she's a 15 or 16-year-old girl, yeah, I'd call that rape. Again, concerned about Penelope Douglas here. Very noncy. Also, yeah, I am confused about the timeline, right? Because in the flashbacks, based on, like, when they graduated and all that sort of thing, like, I'm so confused because they would have been, like, 20-ish at that time in the flashbacks, right? And if they're, like, what are they, like, 24 now or something? I think, or 23 now, 24 now. But then he did it when he was 19, and that's what he went to prison for. I think Penelope's just not made the age differences very clear or obvious. Sometimes she wants them to be 19 in the flashbacks. Sometimes the timelines lines up to them being like 21. Sometimes Michael is meant to be like 23 or 24 in the present day. Sometimes she wants it to seem like he's like 22. Doesn't make sense. No, because why would he be 22 and have this like career? It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. Michael says that apparently the mother was taken care of, whatever this means. We find out, well, actually, I'll leave you a little secret to the end, okay? We won't go there. But, yeah, the implication is that they're going to tell Erica that she's been, like, kidnapped and they might murder her. That's what they plan to do. Trevor phones Michael, and they have an argument of both wanting Erica, and they speak about her like she's a piece of meat. It is grim, objectifying women again. It ends with Trevor saying, "It won't be you I'm trying to hurt," he threw back. "If that slut spreads her legs for you, I will make sure marrying me will be the nightmare of her life." Lovely. Chapter 8 is Erica 3 years ago. We find out that Michael and Trevor's dad has like a harem of women that he's been cheating on his wife with. It's like an open secret that everyone knows about but no one speaks about, including the wife. Again, he's just a crappy man. We also see scenes of him later, like him sexually harassing his employees and stuff like that, so creepy as hell. The Four Horsemen, can't say that seriously, can you, are apparently planning something for that night, which is Devil's Night. And it's not just mindless pranks, but just full-on crime. Fires, break-ins, vandalism, and destruction of property were all credited to them, even though there was never any proof, their faces being covered by masks as they were. But I'm sorry, but like a mask alone is not enough to get away with it. Come on. But we always knew who it was, and even though the cops probably did too, when you're born with the blessing of the right name, connections, and money, you'll use it. Damon Torrance, son of a media mogul. Kai Mori, son of an influential socialite and banker. William Grayson III, grandson of Senator Grayson. And Michael Christ, son of a real estate developer. The boys may have shunned the rigidity and expectations of their parents, but they certainly enjoyed the umbrella of their protection. Great, so what we got here is spoilt rich boys committing crimes and getting away with it. So, yeah, just like the real world. This is like one of the most corrupt parts of our society. It's absolutely disgusting. Please tell me why a woman like Penelope Douglas is trying to romanticize it. Erica decides she's going to go out that night with her one and only friend Noah, but she never made it because on the way to meet Noah, Michael and the guys pick her up on the street first, and they're like, "Ooh, come with us." So she gets in the car with them, and they take her to some abandoned house on the outskirts of town. Erica says she carries her dad's matchbook collection around with her, so she has this little book of matches with her. This is relevant for this scene only. The guys then decide to start teasing her by claiming that a girl was raped in this house and implying that they were the ones who raped her and that the same could happen to her. I don't think this is a joke. No, it is a joke in the book. They didn't do this. They're just doing it to wind her up. But this isn't the kind of thing that you like say to friends, "Ha ha ha, I raped someone, what a funny joke." It's just, you don't, right? You don't. Their whole thing is that they just want to make her scared. So I lurched forward, a body passing mine, shoving my shoulder. "You shouldn't be here," Will warned, walking past and looking over his shoulder at me. "This house isn't safe. A girl got violated here a few months ago." "Raped?" Damon taunted, whipping around to stand in front of me and getting in my face. I immediately reared back. "She was drugged and taken downstairs." He jerked his head behind him, gesturing to the basement, with thrill in his eyes. My breath shook as I swallowed the lump in my throat. "A girl got attacked here?" I pinched my eyebrows together, fear speeding up my breathing. "Yeah," I heard Kai's voice at my back. "She was tied up, stripped naked. Can't tell you how many guys went at her. They were lining up for their turns." I whipped my head around, seeing Damon close in, to his black eyes looking like a void in the darkness of his mask. Kai looked up, asking Will in a light voice, "I don't think they even caught them all, did they?" "No," Will said playfully. "I think there's still a few running around loose. Like 4. It's not a funny joke. And then they decide that the funny, hilarious prank that they want to do to start the night off is to set this house on fire. So just full-on arson. For some reason, they have this, like, spare phone, and Will records the whole thing as Erica and then the other guys each toss lit matches to set this house on fire. They've covered it in like kerosene or whatever. So they're recording evidence of their crime and them committing the crime. Erica's not even wearing a mask. Like, they must be dumb, right? To just do... And it comes back to bite them in the bum. Of course it does. It's just so damn stupid. Michael said he did it because the house was used for drugs, and he says, "I don't like drugs or drug houses," he admitted. "Drugs are a crutch for people too ignorant to self-destruct on their own," says the man who was literally drinking himself stupid in the last chapter. Anyway, right, I got a grumbly girl. I'm going to go check on her, make sure she's okay, give her a snack, have some food myself, and I'll be back to record the rest later. Alright, hey everyone, welcome back to this next part where I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to do a voiceover for a little while. We are up to chapter 9, which is another Erica chapter, set this time in the present. And Erica goes to her first lecture, and she sees the prostitute that Michael hired in her lecture. Turns out she's a student as well. But at the time, Erica doesn't know she's a prostitute, so she goes to sit with her, only for Damon and Will to show up in her lecture and be like, no, we're sitting here, get out. They kick the prostitute out of the seat. Erica tries to leave and move seats as well, but they grab her by the wrists and hurt her, and then Damon threatens to kill her mother if she tries to leave again. So, you know, remember, these are really nice guys. They're just misunderstood. And then Damon tells her, "You were never part of our group." His angry whisper fell on my ear. "You were just," other word for vagina, "being groomed." And then his other hand slid inside my thigh, squeezing it. So we have him admitting to a crime and committing another one. Lovely. Damon then starts making sexual comments about her, and Will is just quiet as always. Again, he's just there. He is a non-character. There's more just straight-up sexual harassment, with Damon saying, "I've been dreaming about those lips." Damon said low in my ear, bring me back. "And you know how to suck penis yet, Rika?" I forced myself to listen, but then my breath caught in my throat when Damon's hand gripped my hair at my scalp and held me tight and still. "Because when I shoved myself down your throat," he whispered over my cheek, "you better know how to take it and love it." So this is sexual harassment and sexual assault happening in a public space with no one stopping it and no one speaking out about it. This is the only lecture we ever see Erica go to, and it's really damn bizarre. It's apparently about the youth of today and how they're super ungrateful and don't respect anyone or anything, which honestly is pretty fitting considering what we've seen and will see in this book. No one in this book respects anything. Erica decides, though, that, as a 19-year-old woman, she knows more than her lecturer who's spent their entire career studying this stuff, and she decides to speak back to him being like, no, you're wrong. Actually, you guys gave us all this. Why shouldn't we take it for granted? And then she tells the lecturer to take some accountability, which is laughable, considering the lack of accountability that her and the other characters take consistently in this book, or don't take. I might, to some extent, agree with her a little bit, if every single person in this book between the ages of 16 and 25 weren't the most awful, selfish, ungrateful, self-centered, and deeply hateful people I've ever read about, but they are, so I can't help but find her a massive hypocrite and completely wrong in this world. Erica thinks her mum is on a yacht trip with Trevor and Michael's mother, but after the death threat, she starts to get worried and she's like trying to phone her mum and can't. And at this point, she tries to phone Trevor and Michael's dad at work, but he isn't there. And she's like, "Oh, I don't want to bother him at home." And she never thinks to like actually call the mother that she's supposedly with. So this stupid plot just drags out even longer. Thankfully, later in the chapter, she does finally try and call the other mother, but conveniently, she doesn't answer the phone. Ugh. At this point, worrying about her family, Erica's like, "What's the sensible thing to do here? Oh, I know. I'll sneak into Michael's apartment to ask him." For reasons. While she's there, the three guys show up because apparently they have no lives of their own. And I'm like, do they have no jobs, no other friends, no family, no hobbies? No, they don't. They have nothing. They're pathetic. Michael refuses to give her the number for the boat, the yacht that they're apparently on. And then Erica's like, "Well, fine, I'll just go then." But instead of letting her leave, he assaults her and drags her out of the lift so she can't go anywhere. Again, this is just assault. This is a crime. The doors started closing, but just then a hand shot into the elevator and I jumped, seeing the doors reopen. I sucked in a breath, staring wide-eyed as Michael reached in, grabbed my shirt by the collar with one hand and pulled me out. "Michael!" I shouted. I stumbled into him, and before I knew what was happening, he grabbed my wrists and locked them behind my back, walking into me and forcing me backwards back down the hall towards the kitchen. You really can't make me root for any supposed love interest who treats a woman like this. Ridiculous. He throws her to the ground and threatens her and says that she is one of them, which is the opposite of what Damon said earlier, but okay, and that she doesn't get a say in anything and she's not allowed to leave. And then he pins her to the ground and starts kissing her, again without her consent. She does say that she enjoys it, but it's not really like she has a choice in the matter, is it? He's grabbing her hair in a violent way and physically hurting her, and she's like, well, I'm in pain, but at least he's kissing me, so it's not so bad. And I'm like, shut up, it's a crime. He then tells her, we're going to a pool party, he said, his voice that had been thick with lust just a moment ago now gone cold. We're going to pick you up in 10 minutes, so have a swimsuit on. My throat was dry and I couldn't swallow. If you're not ready, we'll get you ready, even if it takes all 4 of us, he threatened. And then maybe after the night is over, I'll feel like giving you the phone number. Oh look, another threat. This is terrifying. Damon throws more misogynistic insults at her and then the chapter ends. Will still has no personality. Okay, so chapter 10 is another Erica chapter, but this was set 3 years ago. My guess for this chapter was they go commit another serious crime and try to laugh it off, and I was pretty right, yes. It starts with some dangerous driving. Michael grabs Erica by the throat and threatens her just because he can, but apparently she's enjoying it. Again, I don't want to get too serious with you guys, but I'm just going to remind you all that, like, men who choke their partners are the most likely to kill their partners. Just saying. But remember, it's fiction, so anything goes. You don't need to take into account real-world crimes and experiences of actual women, do you? Because remember, in fiction, if a man assaults you and threatens you, then it's totally okay if he's hot. Basically, Penelope Douglas is trying to tell us that the guys are, like, really, really smart here because they've thought everything through and they've got this really complicated plan where they only went out and committed arson in that remote location so that then they could call the police and fire engines out to the fire. And then they used 2 massive trucks stolen from Kai's uncle to block the one and only road in that area so the police and fire engines can't get back. And Erica is like, oh my god, you guys are some kinds of geniuses. And Penelope Douglas wants us to think the same things. And the idea is that, like, there'll be less police and fire engines for their other crimes that they're about to commit throughout the night, which might be smart if this had any actual consequences to the plot, but it doesn't. Because when they do commit a serious crime later, there's just police there anyway, so anyway. Then there's a really gross scene where they wait half an hour for Damon to go and do something, which is apparently going and having sex with an underage child. Erica says that they, or at least Will and Damon, would expect me to be a virgin only to open my legs for them and then not whine and cry when they never called me again. And unfortunately, Michael is very much like Damon. Gross. Damon says that he was initially going to try and sleep with the mayor's wife, but instead he slept with his daughter instead. Damon grinned and lifted 2 fingers to his nose, sniffing. I like virgins. So sweet. Gross. The other thing that we need to know about is that I did a little bit of Googling about the rest of the series after finishing this book, and it turns out that the child that he slept with here, she was like 15 or 16 or something. I think it's implied in this book that she's 15, but by the 3rd book in the series, they kind of claim that she's actually 16. But either way, still far too young for him in his... Well, they say he's 19. Again, I think they retcon some of the ages. But anyway, still too young for him. And we also find out that not only is she young and underage, but she's also blind, or at least so visually impaired that she couldn't tell who it was, and he tricked her into thinking he was someone else so he could sleep with her. So this is rape on many counts. He also recorded it and tried to show her on the video, which is absolutely illegal if she didn't consent to that in the first place, but also illegal because she's 15 or 16, and this makes this child sexual assault material. So many crimes here. Then, out of nowhere, even though we've had absolutely no hints of this happening at all in the rest of the book, Erica tells Michael that one of the kids at school, who's the new basketball captain, spiked her drink at a party last summer, and him and his girlfriend then tried to sexually assault her when she was passed out. So I'm just going to remind you, this poor girl, who is barely 16, Erica, has been sexually assaulted by 3 people already in this book, and we're not even close to halfway through. It's ridiculous. She says that she wasn't raped, but it was close, and so she told everyone about it, but the the guy who tried to rape her and his girlfriend have such powerful families and rich families that nothing actually happened. She says, yeah, I tried to fight back, tell my mother, the Christs, the school, even Trevor, but in the end, even despite the protests of my mum and Michael's, the business relationship between Michael's father and Miles's parents was more precious than my honour. Miles was told to stay away from me and I wasn't permitted to go to the hospital to take a drugs test for evidence. The incident never went to the police or left our respective homes. I had to look at him every day in school, knowing what he almost did to me and wondering if he and his girlfriend had raped me, would I have seen any justice? No, you wouldn't, and it's gross as hell, because no one does in this book. But I kind of hate how, like, this is played as a bad thing, because, like, oh, how dare he use his power and money to get away with crimes. But when Michael and the other guys do it, it's like, oh, isn't it hot and sexy? They're using their power and money to get away with crimes. It's like, come on. This is ridiculous. So the guys are like, we'll help you get revenge against him. Go into this bar where he is. Go seduce him, and we'll come save you. So she does. And they don't come save her in time, so she gets sexually assaulted by him again. And then his girlfriend comes in and is like, I want to watch you rape her. And then she realizes that the guys aren't coming, so she, like, beats them with a soap dispenser. But just as she's getting violent, the guys do show up, and they find it all really, really funny. And then they beat Miles and the girlfriend up until they're, like, nearly dead. And they're all like, ha ha ha, this is so funny, isn't this funny? Even though, like, you literally just let Erica get sexually assaulted again. Like, I have to say, I am pro getting revenge on rapists, but this just doesn't have the same satisfaction when the people beating up the rapists and sexual assaulters are also rapists and sexual assaulters. Like, it just, don't enjoy it, you know? Chapter 11 is present day Erica, and it's another boring rich person party, and she has some drinks, and she wanders off alone, and then she's cornered by Damon, who threatens her again. It's like, the amount of threats in here, like, they get boring after a while, because they're just so damn common. I could tear you limb from limb, he threatened, his breath falling across my face, and I wouldn't even break a sweat. I pressed my hand into him, pushing harder and twisting my body left and then right. Knock it off, let me go. Do you know what I thought about in prison? He took hold of my hair at the back of my scalp. Why is he always doing that? And I gasped as he pulled my neck back, holding me tight and still with his lips only an inch from mine. You and our last night together, he finished. He kissed me, soft but possessive, dragging my bottom lip out with his teeth. I jerked away, digging my nails into his upper arms as my heart hammered in my chest. And then he makes a bunch of sexual comments about her and implies that 3 years ago something definitely happened between them, something that Michael would be angry about. And then there's a poorly written sex scene between Erica and Michael. It's like an oral sex scene, and Kai creepily watches them without her consent. So that's fun. Nice. Yep, we love that, don't we? No, we don't. I'll say it again, I found the harassment and the assaults in this book so damn disturbing and so dark. Like, then when you do have momentarily consensual sex scenes, like the one between, like, Erica and Michael, like, I don't understand how anyone can enjoy that, because you already know, like, she's literally just been assaulted again. So how can she go from that to, ooh, this is, like, the hottest thing in my life within, like, 5 minutes? It's downplaying the seriousness of sexual assault and the trauma it actually leaves many people with. I don't know. Ugh, this book. Okay, chapter 12 is Michael's chapter, present day Michael. Erica leaves. There's tension between him and Kai. They talk about some plan to get Erica's house. This is where we start to learn a little bit more about their plan. They're going to try and steal all her money, her house, all that stuff. And I was like, I don't understand why. They're all rich enough as it is. But we do find out later. It's not just that they want money, it's that they don't want her to have money so that they can abuse her in a different way. But we'll get there, don't worry. Michael says of all this, my friends, my brothers were dead on the inside, and the more I thought about what she'd done to them, to us, I wanted to rip her apart. I only hope what we were about to do would bring them back, though. Yeah, would bring them back, though. I don't care about these guys. I don't care that they're dead on the inside. They're abusers, they're horrible people. They should suffer. Michael then gets to see his dad, who is also an awful person. So not only has he been creepily looking at Erica when she was a child, and, you know, who he's known since he was a baby, but now he's feeling up his women employees in front of his son, which is a major abuse of power. Like, all the men in this book are awful people. I think we're meant to be sold on the love interest because in some ways he's not quite as awful as some of the others, but that's not how it works in the real world. If you have a choice of 7 mouldy slices of bread, you don't just eat the least mouldy one. That's still going to make you ill. You just don't eat mouldy bread. It's better to eat no bread than to eat mouldy bread. And it's the same for men. It's better to have no men than the least abusive man, you know? So basically, Michael tries to ask his dad if he can manage the jewelry business, which Erica is set to inherit one day. Basically, her dad was a millionaire and had this like jewelry and gemstone empire thing, which means it was likely built on slavery, right? But, you know, I guess we just have to ignore that because it's convenient for the plot that Erica has a lot of money. And basically, when her dad dies, Michael and Trevor's dad took over managing the whole trust and everything until she turns 25 and she'll properly inherit it, which I think is absolutely fair. The family, though, have this whole plan where, like, Trevor marries Erica and then all those millions are in their family too, but Michael doesn't want that. He wants to take it all for himself or destroy it so she's left, like, penniless or whatever. Once again, none of these men have considered that a woman might have agency. The dad says that he needs one of them to get Erica pregnant and quickly. Trevor or Michael, it doesn't matter. And if they can't do it, he'll just do it himself, which is gross as hell. So now not only are we sexually assaulting women, but we're controlling their bodies and trying to impregnate them without their consent too. And I'll remind you, she's only 19 at this point. And anyway, the dad agrees to it. Michael gets control of her entire inheritance and trust and businesses and houses and everything, and he's like, this is great, I can destroy it all. And I'm like, is there not some sort of safeguard against this type of stuff? Like, surely certain stuff would be off limits to someone even managing the estate, right? I don't know. I'm not a rich person. I don't know how rich people stuff works. All I know is I kind of don't give a damn. And then suddenly Michael gets a text from Will saying that, like, he's taking care of Erica's house. He's like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm burning it down. And then he sends photo evidence. Like, again, it's like these guys are just asking to be caught. So they've committed arson again. They've recorded evidence of their crime again. They're sending it out and bragging about it. It's ridiculous. Michael's mad about this though because he didn't actually want to burn down the house. He wanted it for himself. And then he punches a wall in anger, which is another red flag, isn't it? Because, you know, men who punch stuff and destroy stuff when they're mad, massive red flag. Chapter 13 is Erica 3 years ago, and I don't even know how, but somehow we're only halfway through this book, and I am ready to tear my hair out. So they go on to do Will's prank, by which I mean criminal act, and he decides to torch a gazebo built by the girl that he's apparently in love with, but she doesn't like him back, and Erica's like, oh my god, what? Why does he like her? She's such a nerd. And it's gross, it's rude, let's not put other women down like that, please. Like, why is she so judgy? If we didn't like Erica before, this is another reason not to, because it's just nasty of her. Emmy Scott, I shout out, wanting to laugh. What? Michael looked at me, not sharing the joke. Well, she's not. I trailed off, thinking of moody little Emery Scott in her black-rimmed glasses and overalls who never wore a stitch of makeup. Well, she's not really his type, is she? I couldn't believe it. This had to be a mistake. Will had only ever been seen with girly girls in short skirts with perfect hair, girls who knew how to flirt. Emmy Scott was, well, kind of a nerd by everyone's opinion, including her own. It's horrible, isn't it? How is this meant to be our likeable protagonist? Nasty. So nasty. Erica finally decides that burning down the gazebo is too far for her. She's like absolutely okay with nearly beating people to death. She's okay with arson of whole houses. She's okay with statutory rape and just rape in general. But burning down a gazebo of a girl that she judges for how she looks is too far for her. And then Michael is all like, no, you're either with us or against us. So she's like, ugh, screw this, I'm against you. And she starts to call the police on them, but she stops because there's a police officer across the road watching them already. And he's like, hands up, masks off. And Erica realizes this will get them in a crap load of trouble because they're being caught on video by everyone around them, right? And so she's like, oh no, I was going to call the police on them, but now I better not. So she causes a distraction in the only sensible way she knows how, by breaking into her family's jewelry shop, which is right next to all this drama conveniently, and stealing $250,000 worth of jewelry, as you do. Just a casual night out, isn't it really? And this is where I don't believe this nonsense for a second, right? She says, lunging for the rear of the car, I opened it and dug out a crowbar. Slamming the back door closed again, I pulled my hood down over my eyes and ran up to the display case, which showed off a glittering set of ruby earrings with a matching necklace and a ring, probably worth over $250,000. Sorry, did I say $500,000? No, it's $250,000. I don't know. But $250,000. Yeah, my family didn't F around when it came to jewels. We were worth as much, if not more, than the Christs. And I swung. The crowbar crashed through the glass, and the lights and alarms immediately blazing, filling the town square with this onslaught of noise. And I'm sorry, but this is so unrealistic. There's no way that there is nothing but a single pane of glass between some unattended $250,000 jewellery and the rest of the world. This just doesn't happen anywhere. Have you never walked past a closed jewellery shop? There's massive shutters, all sorts of extra security features. It's not just a little pane of glass that you can smash with your average crowbar. This is stupid as hell. So unbelievable. But she grabs the jewellery so she's not leaving them unattended and runs away. And as she runs, the guys have managed to escape as well because of the distraction, and they pick her up in the car. Which, again, like, if they're running to the car that has a license plate and is registered to one of them, then surely it doesn't matter if their faces have been seen or not, because they know who they are from the car. Oh my god, everyone in the story is so stupid. Oh, everyone is dumb, nothing makes sense, and we just have to accept it apparently because he's all sexy and hot. And I'm like, it's not though, is it? It's not. In chapter 14, we get present-day Erica, and she's driving to her family home, trying to call her mum, who obviously isn't picking up because, you know, she's been told the house is on fire. And I can't tell if the house is still on fire when she gets there or not, or if it's like been put out at this point, but it's not like structurally safe yet. But either way, she just runs into it and she's like, I've got to get my box of matchbooks from my dad. But obviously they're all burnt up and ruined and she's sad. And I'm like, you were telling us before that you always carried one around with you, which is why you had it to commit arson. But now apparently you don't do that anymore when it's convenient that they're all destroyed. And also, if you're moving away from home, why would you not take your most precious thing in the world with you? Why would you leave it unattended? It makes no sense to me. Michael's now feeling guilty about her house being on fire, and he's there and he pulls her out, and they go stay at his parents' house for the night. Yeah, this feels like an awful idea, doesn't it? But first they go to a bar where Michael buys her beer, which I'm just going to remind you, in America, she is still technically underage, which I still think is silly. I don't understand why your drinking age is 21 in America. That's silly. The rest of the world, we have it at 18. That's normal. Anyway, what was my point here? Yeah, my point is I don't actually have an issue with her at 19 having a few beers. What I have an issue with is how many laws the men in these books break and keep getting away with. It's ridiculous. Then there's some stupid scene where a girl that Michael went to school with, a woman that Michael went to school with, who is actually age appropriate, flirts with Michael. Erica gets super jealous. She gets really rude. They call each other misogynistic insults. Like, can we just stop having women fighting over a man like this, please? It's getting kind of pathetic. As I said before, this book does not pass the Bechdel test. In chapter 15, it's also present-day Erica, and Penelope Douglas tries to create this like creepy atmosphere in the house at night, but she fails miserably. There's no tension. I don't understand what's scary about a clock. And also, this character is 19. The whole idea of like life goes on while you sleep, like when she's so damn young and she has a whole life ahead of her, it's just something I can't find believable. Like, listen to this. The house scared me at night. It always had. A light wind blew outside and bare tree branches scraped against windows in various rooms as I crept downstairs, passing the ticking grandfather clock in the foyer. Its sound echoed through the vast house, always reminded me that life went on while we slept. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Kind of a scary thought, actually. Creatures stirred outside, trees sat patiently in the forest, and danger could be lurking right outside the front door, mere feet away from our vulnerable spots in our warm beds. And then she immediately goes on to say, in the Christ house, the most interesting hours would often be after midnight. I'd learned to love the sound of the house being shut down and locked up. It was like a new world was about to unfold. So I'm so confused whether she's scared or not. The tension here is like non-existent. Penelope's just telling us like, hey, this is scary, be scared, but there's nothing actually scary about it. Basically, Penelope just needed an excuse for Erica to wander around after dark in her pajamas so that she can recall a story when Michael's dad slapped him in an argument, so Michael immediately responded by choking his dad. Again, the choking, red flag. But it's one of these cases, isn't it, where like abused people often go on to abuse other people. Hurt people. So Michael's behaviour is understandable, but it's not excusable, you know? Anyway, because this is, like I say, a poorly written attempt at a romance book, although I wouldn't even call it romance, Our main character cannot simply exist in her own right on the page without the love interest being there, of course. So Michael joins her for a midnight snack, and oh my god, he's just so handsome, blah 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 blah. They decide to watch a film together, while Erica takes very small bites of her sandwich, specifically very small bites, because apparently that's how girls eat. And even though she just loves sci-fi and horror and has watched Alien vs. Predator 21 times before, she still literally hides behind a pillow during a scary scene. And Michael, it's really damn pathetic to read, and Michael uses this as an excuse to be like, ooh, you get turned on by being scared. Guess me being a criminal and abuser and having friends who rape and assault women is super hot to you, right? Like, who writes this nonsense? What is wrong with you, Penelope Douglas? Then there's a super weird scene where Michael's mum finally calls her back, but Michael is like, no, let me touch you while you speak to my mum, and she's like, no, don't, let me take the phone call, and he's like, I'm gonna do it anyway, which is rapey, but okay. And then he gets off to touching her while she's talking to his mum. And like I say, he can hear his mum and he's getting off. It's weird, damn weird. Even after she hangs up the phone, Michael is like weirdly aggressive and angry and calls her a bunch of degrading names. It's just really gross to read, not sexy at all. And so she decides to go off to bed, but he's like, no, I'm going to scare you into submission and into saying and doing anything I want. And he turns off all the power in the house and assaults her. Like, literally assaults her. So all the power is off. She's freaking out. He slammed me into a wall next to a small table, the mirror above it shaking, as I gripped his shoulders and he dug his fingers into my thighs. This is just assault. But instead of her running away and reporting him, they have sex. And apparently this is a good thing. I don't understand it. Chapter 16 is Michael's chapter, present day, and he regrets having sex with her and compares her to wallpaper. So, remember all the objects women have been compared to in this book so far? Wallpaper is the latest one. Our scrapes and bruises, tattoos, scars, smiles and wrinkles told our stories, and I didn't want a pristine piece of wallpaper. I know it's meant to be a compliment, but can we please stop comparing women to objects? And then, in one of the worst things I ever heard, this grown adult man, oh god, I hate this. He's just regretted having sex with her, so he's like, we better do it again. And this grown adult man makes this teenage woman who he's known since she was literally a baby dress up in her old school uniform so that he can take her back to the abandoned building with the catacombs from how many years ago, because he wants to relive that moment when she was just a 16-year-old kid and he was a grown man. And it's damn weird. Oh, I hate this so much. It's so damn wrong. Oh, it's disgusting. Then there's basically a bit of sexual assault with her saying no repeatedly to him and him being like, nah, I'm ignoring you, I'm going to make you enjoy it. It's like, please, she begged, moaning and trying to twist out of my hold. Michael, no. But he carries on. You told me no, I challenged. And then he grabs her wrists and pulls her off the scones. Yeah, I know you liked it, I bit out, and you're damn well going to get it. This is just rape. I'm reading rape here. You can't convince me it's not. It's just pages and pages of him pushing her around, forcing this, forcing that, calling her a slut, blah, 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 blah. You're just reading rape. So it's like 3 a.m. at this point, and like I say, he's made her dress up as a schoolgirl so he can force himself on her in a public place. Like, do these people not have anything better to do with their lives? Like sleep, or work, or have hobbies? They just run around having sex 24 hours a day. Like, surely you have better things to do with your time. Afterwards, she is completely covered in bruises and bite marks and rope burns on her skin, and for some reason he thinks that her being in pain is super hot for him. And this is so damn messed up. Because, again, you can't tell me this is like just kink or BDSM, because if it was, it would be practiced safely. If you're using the kind of rope that leaves burn marks, if you're tying to the extent that it leaves burn marks, if you're covering people in terrible bruises that leave her in genuine pain, you're doing it wrong. He also says things like he didn't mean to bite her that hard, but he just couldn't help it. And again, if this was genuine BDSM or kink, he would be in control of what he was doing. If he's not in control of how much pain he's causing, or when, or where, or how, then it's not kink, it's just assault. Anyway, the chapter ends with him deciding to betray her, and he tells his friends to finish it, whatever that means. We know what it means. Well, we'll find out in a second. Chapter 17 is Michael again, but 3 years earlier, and after nearly being arrested and stealing $250,000 worth of jewellery, they all decided to go to a party in an abandoned warehouse, because that's a smart, classy idea. Bearing in mind, they have $250,000 worth of jewelry with them, and they just go to a party in a warehouse with a bunch of drunk kids. Yeah. He says of Erica, I wanted to see who she was when she stopped caring what everyone else thought of her or expected of her, which sounds alright, doesn't it? When she finally realised that my opinion was the only one that mattered. God, he's got an ego on him. He really does think a lot of himself, and not in a, ooh, confidence is sexy kind of way, but in a, oh God, shut up already kind of way. He remembers the day she was born and holding her for the first time, and then goes on about how attractive she is now, which is just weird as hell. And then he says that he apparently watched her every day through her childhood, and then when she turned 16 and he came back to the school, he saw her sitting there looking so grown up and beautiful, like an effing angel. I couldn't help it. I walked up to her wanting to pull her up. But here's the thing. She wasn't grown up, was she, Michael? She's not grown up now. She's 16. You creep. So Erica's friend Noah finally makes an appearance on the page, just so that she can dance with him and Michael can feel jealous and all four guys can stare at her and objectify her as she dances. Michael? I heard Kai's voice. You're looking at her like she's not 16, man. I shot him a look, a little amused, before turning my eyes back to Rika. It wasn't a warning, simply a tease. This suburb wasn't the least bit exciting. The teenagers didn't have much else to do except F every chance they got. We'd all had sex long before we were 18, and we were all looking at her like she wasn't 16. Well, you know what I say, Damon chimed in, blowing out a stream of smoke. As long as they're old enough to crawl, then they're in the right position. Oh, excuse me, I'll just go vomit. Oh, no. Who published this book? You need sent into prison. That's disgusting. All of that is disgusting. And yeah, 16-year-olds are having sex with other 16-year-olds, not grown adult men like you in your 20s. Wrong. That line from Damon, though. Why would she even write that? God's sake. Michael says, I shook my head, ignoring the stupid remark. Damon was effed up. Sure, he was joking. But there was also always some truth to anything he said. Women were as inanimate as rocks to him, something to be used. Mate, if you know your friends are like this and you let them get away with it unchallenged, then you are just as bad as they are. And remember, he's not talking about women, is he? He's talking about little kids, young enough to only just be crawling. That's not okay. And that's not just, ooh, it's a silly joke. That's like, he's a predator. And when you know, just earlier that night, he was raping an underage girl, surely you're seeing a pattern of behaviour here, and it's wrong. Apparently, Erica and Michael nearly have sex, but he's like, I pulled back so she could see the seriousness in my eyes. I won't touch you until you're 18. Yeah, it doesn't make it better, that just sounds like grooming, mate. I wrapped my arms around her, holding her tight and looking down into her eyes. We've got to keep this quiet, okay? I told her. Just for now, I don't want my family to know. Yeah, and getting your victim to keep it a secret, typical groomer behaviour. He's like, wait for me until you're 18, but don't you dare touch anyone else. And she's like, will you wait for me? And he's like, ha ha, no, I'm a man, it's not the same. And I was like, ha ha, shut up, I hate this book. If I was reading a physical copy, I would want to burn it. When she's upset about this, obviously, he calls her a kid and says, I released her, letting out a bitter laugh as I turned away. You're such a kid, an effing kid. And then he accuses her of having a tantrum just because if she's not allowed to sleep with other people, then she doesn't want him sleeping around either. I think that's a reasonable request. He's so damn pathetic. And mate, if you don't want your date to act like a kid, stop trying to date kids. It's that simple. That said, she has been perfectly reasonable here. She calls him a coward and he assaults her, which is his go-to reaction, isn't it? I exhaled hard, every muscle in my stomach tightening and burning as I glared at her. I didn't think. I grabbed her by the arms and pushed her into the railing in front of the window, hovering down over her face, nearly nose to nose. I breathed hard, wanting her so goddamn much, but I was pissed beyond everything right now. She had balls to throw that in my face. Her face twisted up and she whimpered, "You're hurting me." I realised my fingers were digging into her arms. I relaxed my hands trying to calm down, but it was no use. She was right. I was a coward. I just wanted everything. I wanted everything and to give up nothing. No one made me feel like crap for who I was, and ripping out her heart wasn't going to be enough. It needed to be crushed, so she'd never pull that crap again. I grabbed her shoulders, shaking her and hearing her cry out. "You hear me?" I growled. "You're not special. You're nobody." This is just abuse again. He's pathetic. He storms off. We get to chapter 18, Erica in the present day. So remember, in the present day, they have just had sex. After he assaulted her, it was apparently consensual. Okay. Actually, no, that's lying. This was after the rape in the Catacombs where she's like, no, 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 and he did it anyway. So they go back to the house and she wakes up to find him just gone. Like, he's just abandoned her with only a text. And she says she woke up in his room, and I quote, filthy, bruised, sore, and alone. Like, he's a piece of crap, isn't he? He is. Have these people never heard of aftercare? Again, this is why it's not kink, it's just assault. She goes shopping and, oh my god, her cards get declined. She realises she has no money and that Michael is behind it all. So she goes to try and find him and his friends who are at a restaurant, and she smashes the place up. I don't understand why she didn't just call the police. Like, surely this is it is a literal crime. And 3 of these guys just got out of prison, so I'm just saying, they're probably on parole. You belong to us now, Michael declared. You'll have money when we think you deserve it. I narrowed my eyes, swallowing the lump in my throat. There's no way you'll get away with this. Who's gonna stop us? Damon argued. The police. The police could stop you. Just go to the police. They tell her she has to go back to Michael's family home with them or else. And so now we get chapter 19, Erica in the present day, again. She says, if I called the police, it would take weeks to sort through the mess as they looked for her, meaning her mum. She was on the yacht. She wasn't on the yacht. She was abroad, so of course it was difficult to reach her. Give it some time. Go back to school. Leave it in our capable hands. Like, one, it's a missing person, so they'd be a bit more urgent than this, especially knowing that, they've been threatening her. 2, they've just stolen all your money. They can do something. This is a stupid excuse. This makes no sense. She should just go to the police. Ridiculous. But instead, she decides to go to Michael's house, and she takes a baseball bat because, yeah, that's going to be enough against 4 giant men who hate her, isn't it? And she's also got that dagger thing that they gave her hidden away. Also not going to be enough, but at least it's something. I also don't understand why they gave her the dagger, knowing she could just use it against them. It makes literally no sense. So she gets to the house, and immediately the men start to assault her. The 4 grown adult men who are much bigger than her. They assault her, throw her around, make rape threats. This book is literally just, let's traumatize young women as much as possible and pretend it's sexy. And I hate it. It's stupid. It is genuinely horrible to read this chapter, most of the book, to be honest, but especially this bit. It is genuinely difficult to get through. It's scary, it's sickening, and if this was a book about how awful rape is and it was handled sensitively, then I might be like, oh god, she did a really good job portraying this. But that's not what this is. You're Horseman property now, I heard Kai say, and if you want to have money to eat, you'll be just as nice to us as you were to Michael last weekend. He said you're a halfway decent F, Damon chimed in, but we'll get you up to par. With some training, Will boasted, sick amusement in his voice. But you won't like it, Kai growled next to me, I promise you that. If you want college money or rent money, Damon threatened, well, you better be especially pleasing. Hey, what are we supposed to do when we get tired of her, Will asked, somewhere to my right. We can't pay her for nothing, can we? Of course not. I guess we can just pass her around, Will suggested. We've got friends. Yeah, crap, Damon interjected. My father loves the young ones. So this is sexual exploitation, extortion, rape, prostitution, trafficking. This is so damn messed up. This is every crime, and this was their plan all along. Steal all her money so they can extort her for sex and traffic her. 1, she needs to go to the police, they're monsters. And 2, I'm sorry, but there's some things where if you have a misunderstanding and you treat someone badly and they apologize for it, you can probably get over it. But planning to traffic a woman, extort her, exploit her for sex, it's just gang rape her repeatedly, that's something that I just don't find forgivable, you know? And then in the scene, Damon just straight in attempts to rape her. He just goes for it, and she manages to use the hidden dagger to stab him, but then the stupid girl drops the dagger as she runs away. She says they had an endless amount of money and power to hide this. There were no videos of their deeds this time to get them arrested. And I was like, so? Who needs a video? You don't need a video. Testify against them. You'll be covered in bruises at this point. There'll be an electronic trail of the money that they stole. They'll have hidden your mother or her body somewhere, right? They committed arson in your house. There will probably be DNA and all sorts of stuff there, or people will be able to find out how the fire started and trace it back to them and where. There's more kinds of evidence than just video of them doing the crime. Plus, 3 of them have criminal records already, including at least 1 for statutory rape, so it'll make your accusations of sexual assault, extortion, and exploitation all the more credible. Go to the police. This book makes no sense. Oh my god. Chapter 20 is Michael's chapter. And he's like, oh, it's fine that she's run off, she'll be back. And then she starts to taunt them over the intercom for God knows what reason. There's a bunch of swearing and anger and aggression and threats from all the men. I think we're now supposed to think Michael's a good guy because he says, I closed my eyes and ran my hand over the top of my head. What the hell was I going to do? How was I going to stop them? So he's starting to feel guilty and be like, I need to stop the other 3 guys. But it's just too little too late, isn't it? You were planning to traffic her. Like, you can't just be like, oops, had a change of heart, better stop. Like, no, this was your plan all along. Anyone who plans for like 3 years to traffic a woman, you can't just be like, oh, never mind, change my mind. Like, you're a monster. Michael wants pity, though. He's speaking to the other guys, and I narrowed my eyes on him. You think the past 3 years have been easy, I charged? I was the one to piss her off. She was mad at me that night, and you all paid the price. I had to look at her day after day, that lying, manipulative, vindictive bitch, sitting 2 feet across the dinner table and knowing it was my fault. I turned my head looking between Kai, Will, and then back to Damon. You're my brothers, more than family. You guys served the time, and I have guilt for it. We all paid. Like, oh, get over yourself. The amount of crimes you all committed over the years, like, you not getting a prison sentence at all, and them just getting less than 3 years each, is nothing. You deserve so much worse. He says, I felt like I owed them. I'd hurt her that night, pushing her away and being cruel, and it was my fault she'd lashed out. She had the phone, she posted the videos. So this is meant to be like the big reveal of everything, right? The 4 guys think that she posted the videos of them committing their crimes online, and that's what sent them to prison. So basically, and they tell her this. Your tantrum cost us 3 years, Rika, Kai charged, baring his teeth, and it wasn't easy time. We were hungry and threatened and miserable. So you're mad because you think she made you face the consequences of your own actions. Pathetic. You know, a bunch of like red pill and misogynists online are like, women can't take accountability for their own actions. Like, that's literally what's happening here. These men refuse to take accountability for their own actions and are blaming a woman for the crimes they committed. And seriously, where's the logic? You think the way to get revenge for her showing people you committed some crimes is to commit even more serious crimes against her. This makes no sense. You're all idiots, you deserve to rot in prison. This book is so damn stupid. Erica says, you served 3 years? Well, I'm not sorry for you. You guys screwed up, but surprise, surprise, you actually had to pay a consequence for once. You've never had to own up to anything. There's no one to blame but yourselves. And she's right, you know? You don't know anything, Kai bellowed, shouting in her face. She shook her head, a spiteful smile in her eyes. Really? And then she shot a glare to Damon. You were sent to jail for raping an underage girl. Winter Ashby, the mayor's daughter. The video was proof. What's there to explain? Yeah, truth. Also, again, if he made child sexual assault material, why wasn't he in prison longer? Makes no sense. Michael says, I'd woken up on Halloween the day after Devil's Night and discovered that some of our videos had been posted online for the whole effing world to see, which quite simply led to my friend's arrest. It had been stupid to record the videos in the first place, well yeah, but we were always careful with it. We kept one phone especially for those nights when we wreaked havoc and wanted to keep a little souvenir, and back then we thought we were untouchable. Winter Ashby had been one of Damon's conquests. She'd willingly taken him to bed the night before. Not true, as we find out in the 3rd book, but she'd been underage and her father was just as powerful as ours. At this point, I said in my notes, wait though, I hope Erica didn't post that video of Damon sleeping with the underage girl online, because, like I say, that would be her committing a crime of possessing and disputing child sexual assault material. That's a crime. Turns out it did get posted online, but big twist, oh my god, it wasn't by Erica. Even so, I don't understand why the police didn't investigate who posted them, because that's distributing child sexual assault material. Anyway. I looked over to Damon, seeing his flat expression as he stared at her. There's nothing to explain, he replied calmly. You have me figured out. I preyed on a young girl, and I don't even remember her face. Wow, what a great guy. Then she turned to Will and Kai, carrying on. And you guys beat up a cop nearly to death. They found him on the side of the road. Another video that had surfaced. So this wasn't one that happened on Devil's Night, but it's one of them and it got posted online. That cop, Will shut out, moving into her space, is Emery Scott's brother, her abusive older brother, and you're damn right I beat the crap out of him. Rika knew Emery Scott, went to school with her, and she must have remembered Will burning down her gazebo on Devil's Night, and he'd wanted her for a long time, so he effed with her to get her attention, but when he found out she was being abused by her brother, Will, Damon and Kai beat the crap out of him, and Damon had recorded it on the phone. Like, oh, sorry, my mistake. You beat up one abusive man, and it makes up for all the abusive crap you've done so far, right? No, of course not. Stop trying to excuse abusive behaviour by being like, oh, well, they're abusive, but they're not as abusive as these people. Damon was sentenced to 33 months for statutory rape, and Will and Kai pleaded down to 28 months for assault. Considering everything they've done, this is absolutely nothing. Like, oh, it's pathetic. This whole book is centred around 3 pathetic little boys trying to get revenge because they were held accountable for their terrible, disgusting crimes. Like, come on. Apparently, though, no videos of Michael were posted for a reason, and that's why he got away with it. And then there's another revelation, as you're choosing her, Kai charged, after everything. She'll screw you over just like us. We trusted her too. You trusted me? She burst out, coming around and holding her eyes. I was your friend? Do you normally kidnap your friends against their will and drive them out into the middle of nowhere for a little fun? I narrowed my eyes, my heart picking up speed, and then I turned to look at my friends. What the F is she talking about? And this is the big secret that Damon and the others have been hiding from Michael, apparently. And we find it out in chapter 21, Erica 3 years ago. So she left the party after that little spat with Michael, and Damon, Kai and Will find her and are like, get in the car, we'll give you a lift. And at first she says no, but gets in anyway. Kai is apparently wearing a mask, Will falls asleep in the back, and Damon is driving. So they kidnap her. Like, they just drive past her home and she's like, wait, what? Stop, what? No. So they kidnap her, they call her derogatory names, they make awful comments about her, and then there's this really, really damn disturbing, awful scene. It's disgusting. It's incredibly graphic, and it didn't need to be. There's detailed descriptions of them sexually assaulting her, restraining her both in the car and in a forest in the middle of nowhere. But just before they actually rape her, Damon stood back with his fists at his side and his eyes narrowed. He charged over, grabbing Kai off me and shoving him away. And then he dived down, dragging me up by the sweatshirt. Stop crying, he ordered. We weren't going to hurt you, but now you know that we can. He grabbed me by the back of my hair, and I gasped as he brought me in, his warm breath falling across my face. Michael doesn't want you, and neither do we. You get that. So, I don't understand how he can say we weren't going to hurt you, as he continues to hurt her, and he already has been hurting her. It's ridiculous. Like, they've been sexually assaulting her. Like, just because they didn't go all the way and penetrate her, this doesn't mean it wasn't traumatizing and it wasn't sexual assault. So then they abandoned her in the forest, and she has to walk home, hurt and crying, and, like, it's actually traumatizing, right? Chapter 22 is Erica in the present day, and she's told Michael that whole story, and the guys deny it because they're scummy. But it turns out, well, we'll get there, don't worry. Erica at this point also denies having posted the videos, so all of this really happened over, like, nothing, other than these men being scummy as hell and criminals. It's like she's been repeatedly traumatized and raped and assaulted repeatedly for no reason. Michael then says that she's lying about this story because Kai was with me. He caught up to me at my house almost as soon as I got home, and we got drunk while watching game footage the rest of the night. He wouldn't have had time to take you out into the middle of the effing woods. And it turns out, oh my god, what a twist, the guy in the mask wasn't Kai at all, but Trevor, the younger brother. Oh my god, who would have thunk it? It turns out that the other violent, possessive, abusive brother has been violent and possessive and abusive all along. Who saw that coming? And then Will's like, I didn't even do anything, I was asleep in the back the whole time, because Will isn't a character who ever does anything, he's just in the background, sleeping. The men all fight, and Kai's like, I'm not that bad, I assaulted some people and committed a lot of crimes, but not this one. And Will's like, I'm not that bad, I also committed a lot of crimes and assaulted people, but I was passed out for this particular one. And then Damon calls Erica the C word, and there's more fighting. And then there's a new theory that Trevor is the one who actually found the phone and posted the videos online, and that's why he kind of, like, saved Michael but screwed over the others. And then Michael admits that he didn't actually kill Erica's mother or kidnap her, he sent her to rehab. And then Damon gets kicked out of the house, and then suddenly everything is okay, and Will wants to get drunk, and Erica just goes and locks herself in a bedroom in the house. And she's just like, well, you know, you just tried to gang rape me and sell me off to people, but yeah, I'll stay in the house with you because there's a tiny little lock between us. Like, it's just damn weird. This is not how normal people would react. And at this point, it gets even weirder, right? So chapter 23, Erica, present day still. There's still 25% of this book left to go. I'm sick of it already. Thankfully, Erica says she hates Michael. He's done all of this. He's been in charge. He told me to come here, and out of love for my mother, I did. He trapped me, blackmailed me, and put his friends on me. I hate him. If the book ended there, I would be happy. There's no way, after all the things he's done, his actions should be forgivable. There's no way they should end up together. He will end up killing her one day. Like, he clearly can't and won't communicate his feelings, and he was prepared to rape and traffic and extort her for something he merely thought she did. She would never be safe with him. Like, they do get engaged at the end of this book, right? But that's never going to work out, because all it's going to take is for her to make one mistake in the relationship, or, you know, he thinks she makes a mistake, and oh my god, he's planning to sell her off again, he's planning to kill her again, he's planning gang rape again. Like, why would you stay with someone like that? Ridiculous. Anyway, Erica's having a panic attack, trying to figure out how to escape, and washing blood from her whole body, and she hears downstairs a literal party starting with kids from the nearby school. Yes, I'll say that again. These 20-something-year-old men who have just tried to gang rape her and threaten to traffic her are now just having a party with school children in the middle of the night. Why? Will says that he's sorry, and then he offers her tequila as though that makes everything okay, and like that's just a normal reaction. It is not. Instead, she's like, I know where Trevor keeps the phone with the rest of the evidence on. Give me back my stuff or I won't let you have it. And then Michael responds by flirting with some random woman, or more likely child, in front of her, and then sends her to bed like she's a child. Oh god, this is the worst thing to read. It's ridiculous. Sexy romance is not just people with trauma causing other people trauma. Like, what is wrong with you, Penelope Douglas? You cannot be healthy. Kai has a cry about how awful prison was and we're meant to feel sorry for him. I do not. Michael shows up again and tells Erica, I wouldn't have let anything happen to you, he stated. I knew it the second you walked through the door tonight, I swear. Except you did let things happen to her. You let her get assaulted by every single one of your friends and you joined in. You were still planning on extorting her and exploiting her and trafficking her. She ended up covered head to foot in blood and bruises. You let her get hurt. It's ridiculous. Oh my god, I forgot about this, but this is the stupidest thing, right? Even though she's like, I hate you, she's like, I'm gonna go make you jealous by sleeping with some other guy. And he's like, no, you're not, and gets violent with her. And then he announces to the party that she is, and I quote, his property, and that no man is allowed to touch her. It's pathetic. And Erica's like, ha, I know what'll work. I'll go sleep with a woman instead. And she goes and hires Alex the prostitute because, yeah, that's what this book needs, isn't it? A woman sleeping with a woman for the benefit of a man, right? Oh, God, it's stupid and offensive. In chapter 24, Michael is brooding and pathetic. I don't care. None of this is how adults behave. It is so damn stupid. Like, I know I've made mistakes in my life. And, like, when you're in your early 20s, you do dumb, silly stuff and make irresponsible choices. But not once have I ever behaved like this, you know? It's ridiculous. He catches Erica and Alex together and violently throws Alex out again. Stupid. And then Michael and Erica, for some reason, go and have sex in his brother's bed because it's some weird power play for him. And, like, you were nearly part of gang raping her like half an hour ago. Like, what woman would be okay with that? No, she needs a lot of therapy. So bad. Chapter 25 is Erica's chapter, and there's a bit of a time jump, and she's actually fencing for the first time in this whole book. She's just practicing in front of a mirror, not actually fencing with anyone. It's been a few days of her just going to class like nothing happened. We don't actually see that, we just hear about it. But apparently, with Michael, every time he called or texted, it was demands, orders, and updates about where I was, what I was doing, and if I talked to anyone today. He never asked me how I was or said anything nice, until he finally showed up, late and worked up from his basketball practice, wanting in my bed. Wow, what a gentleman. Not. Anyway, the whole fencing thing finally has a reason for being in the book, because Michael decides that his idea of romance is to sneak her into his man club in disguise so she can enter a fencing competition. And I was like, oh, this sounds like it could be interesting, something happening. No,
it's just rushed past so that she can fence but be totally distracted thinking of Michael. And then for some reason she tells him she loves him. And then there's a scene where she has sex with both Kai and Michael at the same time, because in a sauna, in a public sauna, and people walk in and watch them in between. Oh, God. It's ridiculous. This book couldn't be stupider. Why would you have public sex in a club filled with men, with two men who try to gang rape you and sell you as a sex slave? I'm sorry, but this is not a novel. This is just a poorly written collection of scenes of immense graphic trauma and unhealthy porn. There's also a scene in this of anal without lube in a sauna, which just sounds painful as hell, doesn't it? Chapter 26 is Erica's chapter again, and she attempts to make friends with other women at college. This lasts all of a paragraph before she starts fantasizing about Michael and Kai and their threesome again, because she literally can't have a personality or life outside of men, can she? And just as she said hi to these new women who she could be friends with, Kai and Will show up and they're like, oh my god, we need to take you back to safety, and they manhandle her out of there. So now she's home, she has a nap, and then she wakes up from the nap at 11 p.m. with Damon at her back door, just as she conveniently wakes up. And I was like, maybe this is where Michael's key comes in, because maybe Damon got in with Michael's key or something like that, but it's never explained. He just gets into her house via the back door, and then he attacks her. Again, like, I fail to understand how this is supposed to be anything worse than what the other guys have done throughout this book. Like, it's all the same, only this time we're meant to be like, ooh, how awful and scary, instead of, ooh, how sexy. I don't get it. Chapter 27 is Erica again, and somehow, this is what I don't understand. The time scale does not make sense here, right? Somehow Damon chloroformed her or something, right? He managed to get her unconscious body through the entire building, through busy streets, put her in a car, drove hours away back to their hometown. He carried her through a marina and put her on Michael's family boat and sailed out to sea without anyone noticing and her not waking up once. Sure, mate. And the timing doesn't line up. We'll come to this in a second, but Damon says that Trevor's on his way there too, doing the full, like, evil millionaire thing like the rest of them, right? Damon tries to rape her on the boat. Again, there's more graphic sexual assault that didn't need to be, described in this much detail, and it's actually awful to read. Oh, God. Damon just dumps his plan out, saying, that's where you're wrong. I do want to hurt you. I want to effing kill you. Then I'm going to kill Trevor. Wow. So creative. Trevor arrives and gives us tragic backstory, which is meant to make us sympathise with Damon for God knows what reason. He'd never help you, Trevor stated, stepping into the room. He hates women. Did you know that when he was 12, his mother started effing him? Yeah, I think the correct term there is rape. His mother was raping him, but okay. And when he was 15, Trevor continued, he beat the crap out of her and threatened to kill her if she ever came back. I overheard my father talking to his a few years ago. And Erica said, it would explain why Damon hated women, I guess. Oh, yeah, look, okay, no, this is awful. No kid should have to go through any of that. But he's a grown man now in his mid-20s, and he's still going around repeatedly raping teenagers, sexually assaulting women, and committing other crimes. Having past trauma doesn't excuse you committing current abuse. Trevor says his plan is to kill her, kill his brother, and that he thinks he can just get away with it all because he's rich, I guess, which is so damn stupid. And this is what I mean about being confused about the time at this point, right? Erica says she woke up from her nap just after 11 p.m, yeah? So Damon drugged her, drove her a few hours away, got her on the boat, and she says it's still pitch black outside, that's important, and they have this whole back and forth. Trevor shows up, talk. He held up his wrist, checking his watch. It's 11:08, baby, he announced and leaned down close to my face. By 11:30, you will both be on your way to the bottom of the ocean. So are you trying to tell me all of this has happened in either 6 minutes or 24 hours? Or has just Penelope Douglas forgotten what she wrote herself? This is stupid and it makes no sense. There's no way this can only be 6 minutes. You can't drive hours in 6 minutes, like that wouldn't make sense. It can't be 12 hours later, because if it was like 11:30 in the morning, in the morning it would be sunny, right? And it can't be, well, it could be 24 hours later, but if she's unconscious for 24 hours, like, surely there'd be a few more consequences. I don't know. This book makes no damn sense. It's so stupid. Chapter 28 starts with Michael going, faster, I shouted. the speedboat bouncing over the water as I spotted the yacht ahead. And in my head, I read this in Matt Berry's voice the first time, which would make the whole book a lot more enjoyable if you picture Matt Berry the whole time. However, Matt Berry is a very nice person, and he would never do any of this crap, so let's not picture him as Michael. Michael, Kai, and Will are in a speedboat racing to save Erica because somehow they know exactly where she is and how to get there in just a nick of time, because apparently Damon left them a note for plot reasons, I guess. Kai gets beat up, Erica is tied up, but Michael frees her. Will is not doing anything because he's busy drowning in the water. Once again, Will is just forgotten about. He's in the background drowning. Oh god, I wish they would all just die. Once again, Erica is threatened with rape. From Trevor this time. Trevor's going to rape her. If I had a quid for every time a woman was raped, threatened with rape, or had rape attempted on her in this book, I might finally be able to buy enough wine to drown out the nightmare of this apparent novel. They tell Michael that he's got to sacrifice Erica to save Will or Kai, or else they'll all die, because there's something that sane people suggest. Blah, blah, blah. There's some fighting, some guns, some swearing, some swimming. Michael saves the day. I kept getting lost at this point because I couldn't remember if it was Michael or Erica narrating because they just sound the same. Turns out it was Michael the whole time. Damon escapes on a speedboat. Trevor's bleeding and begging for help. Because there was gunshots and he got shot. I can't remember who shot him. Doesn't matter. Someone did. Trevor's like begging for help. And Michael's like, well, you are my brother. And then he pushes him in the boat's swimming pool and lets him drown and bleed out because, you know, how romantic, how sexy. We love a little fratricide, don't we, girlies? Michael tells Erica he loves her, so that's a happy ending, isn't it? I just killed my brother. Love you. Oh, God, no, this is awful. I don't want to blame Erica, though, for putting up with all this nonsense. Like, she's never known a healthy relationship. Who I do blame are Penelope Douglas and the publishers, because there is no way this book should have been published as romance and not gut-churning horror. I'll remind you at this point, Amazon has the box set for this series categorised as children's books. Yeah, let's not forget that. Chapter 29 is the last proper chapter. This is Erica's, and walking into the Christ home, I gave Edward a small smile as he took my coat and helped my mother with hers. She looked so beautiful. I was like, okay, who the hell is Edward? And I had to search up his name in the ebook. And it turns out that he's the butler for Michael's family, who was only mentioned once in chapter 1, over 400 pages ago, and again once in chapter 8, as Erica avoided him. So he's not even on the page then. Erica says, I wore an ivory-coloured dress that fell to the tops of my knees, and my mother had politely mentioned that it might be too tight for Thanksgiving dinner. I didn't hesitate to let her know that Michael liked looking at my body, and I liked him looking. So there. Oh, shut up. I hate this book. They all have a lovely Thanksgiving dinner, apparently, with the fact that one brother murdered the other because he tried to kill him and his friends, hanging over them all. What a happy, happy ending. Michael stared down at his mother, a look of regret crossing his face. Other than me, I was pretty sure his mother was the only woman he loved, and while his first instinct had been to protect me, his second had been to protect her. After Trevor had drowned, Will tried to talk Michael into dumping him in the ocean on the way back, so Michael wouldn't have to deal with telling his parents that he killed his brother. Michael wouldn't even listen. He couldn't leave his mother's son out there. At the very least, he had to bring the body back to her, and he knew he couldn't look at her day in and out and lie to her. So after we brought the yacht into port, we called the police and told them everything. How Trevor took me, lured Michael and his friends there, and nearly killed Will and me. It was devastating, and while Mrs. Christ was thankful we were okay, she would hurt for a long time. This is romance, guys. Romance. Michael tells his dad that he broke the trust, apparently, and now Erica has all of her own money. Except let's consider how damn stupid this is, right? That means that as a stupid... So not only does she have all the millions of family money, but she's now also in charge of all the family businesses, right? As a stupid 19-year-old kid with no real education yet, no work experience, she's never had a job in her life, she's in charge of a multi-million-dollar business. This is so damn stupid and absolutely not a good thing. This is not a positive. Apparently Damon has escaped to Russia for reasons, and Michael is having the abandoned cathedral with the catacombs converted into a house for Erica to live in. It's just ridiculous at this point. Then he hands her a ring from her family's jewellery shop, and we're meant to infer that it's a proposal. He doesn't actually say the words, but it's implied. And she's like, yes, I'll marry you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're 19, love, calm down. Your brain hasn't even finished developing yet. Don't marry a psychopath. Then we get to the epilogue, told from Michael's perspective, and just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, Michael reminisces this whole epilogue about Erica again, and says that the first time he really had feelings for her was when he had to pick her up from a football practice when she was just 13 years old. Stop it. It's like this book just wants to get worse and worse up until the last page. He also says that looking at her at 13 is what inspired him to start committing crimes. So that's fun. Blame the literal child. And that's where this terrible, terrible, terrible book ends. Wow. I thought it would be funny to end the video by looking at a few of the good reviews of this book, because they are far more entertaining than the actual book. This person says, I think the main issue is that Michael and Rika have the personalities of a wooden plank. Accurate. Another person says, I wanted to take 2 knives and plunge them into my eyes for trying to read this book. This book was getting worse and worse the more I read it. Reek was awful. Michael was crap. The whole book is a disaster. I hate everyone. They should die. Was this written by me? The characters in this book need serious therapy, and Trevor shouldn't be the one to die. Michael should be dead with him too. And I would have liked Rika's body floating somewhere in the sea more. Rika? Badass? Strong? Where? She was literally a doormat with a puny brain, a horny dumbass with daddy's money and a pretty face. If it weren't for the Chris, she would have been dead in a ditch with her I don't know which drug on mother. Above all, she was suffering with the infamous body betraying syndrome. Michael, this bitch needs a therapist. Another review said, no offence, but this author needs God, or a psychologist urgently. Another person says, decent smut, but everything else set women's rights back 100 years. Some girl named Kim recommended this to me, and I just want to say, Kim, if you're reading this, F you. As long as my morals, inner feminist emotions and brain aren't dead, I won't ever find anything like this acceptable. It's so effed up. He let his friends assault her, and don't get me started on all the other crap they did. I wanted to hurt you because I thought you hurt me. What are we, in kindergarten? Another person says, I hate when people defend a book about paedophilia with, well, you just must not like dark romance. And another said, I need some time to come to my senses and write a few words about this thing. Corrupt is not a dark romance, it's simply porn. I have nothing special to say about the story. Everything's so predictable and dirty. Penelope Douglas is good in writing new adult books. It's clear she wanted to write a contemporary romance with more mature characters and issues, but it all turned out ridiculously immature. Accurate. The positive reviews of this book are more concerning and also more poorly written, which I think tells us a lot. One person said, do not think for 1 minute that you will own this book. You will never own it. It will own you. It will corrupt you. Picks up Mike. Ahem. Penelope Douglas. Has anyone seen Penelope this evening? Can someone go and check the bathroom or the bar? I need her on stage. Oh, there she is. Penelope, come on up here, love. Penelope, I've asked you on stage to tell you something, and no, I'm not wearing any pants. Penelope. On the 22nd of November 2015, at 13:26, I started your book, Corrupt. At 22:47 this evening UK time, I finished your book, Corrupt. On 23rd of November 2015, at 22:47, your book became my all-time favourite book! Your book is now level with Love in English, my all-time favourite book, my heart. Take a bow while I go put a fresh pair of knickers on and take some Valium. I'm emotionally drained. Gah. I have to take a minute to calm my crap, but I will say that was effing insane. I didn't know what I was going to get. I've read exactly one Penelope Douglas book, and it was Bully, which I really liked. And this being a dark read, well, I wasn't sure how dark she was going to go. I had no idea what she was going to give me, and I went into this with a crap load of curiosity and a sprinkling of hesitation that I was going to be left underwhelmed, and that it would not live up to the kick-butt blurb. That one wasn't me censoring. It did. It totally lived up to the blurb. I was not disappointed. Not even one little bit. Holy effing crap balls of fire and ice. It was dark. Not overly dark, but pretty effing wicked. I know I'm swearing a lot, but F me. F. This book is no joke. My heart is still beating wildly. Corrupt incites passion in the reader, whether it's fear, anxiety, worry, lust, pain, or love. It pulls emotion out of you in the most viciously incredible way. It's dysfunctional yet seductive, compelling and just addictive. One final positive review just read, I felt pain. I felt lust. Serious, serious lust. I felt intense anger. Rage. I felt betrayed. I felt curious. I felt overwhelmed. I felt intrigued. I felt scared. I felt anxious. I felt so many freaking things. Are you okay? Are the people who like this book okay? Like, really? Are you okay? So like I say, I did actually sneak a peek at the synopses for the rest of the books in this series and some of the plot summaries and whatever. And honestly, the plot, characters and reader reactions only seem to get worse. So it turns out in book 3, that's Damon's book, we find out that not only did he rape a 16-year-old girl, but like I mentioned earlier, she was blind and he convinced her that he was someone else so he could have sex with her. She never consented to it being recorded, but he did anyway. And there's people writing whole blogs about how they totally care about consent, but it's not like she really said no, and she's a smart girl, so she probably knew really that it was him, even if she says she was tricked. She wasn't really, so it's not really rape, and they're just trying to find excuses for why rape is okay in this situation. It's sickening. And then later on at the end of the series, there's a short novella where they're all in their 30s and they have kids and stuff. And people are apparently shipping, if you will, a 5-year-old girl with her 11-year-old male cousin. And it is creepy as hell. Let's not sexualize children who are related with 6-year age gaps, please. What the hell is wrong with you? Seriously, some of the people who read these books and enjoy them in this way and post this sort of stuff, I'm genuinely concerned for you. Ridiculous. Anyway, that's me done. That's my review done. Thank you so much for watching and listening today. I appreciate you guys a lot. If you like this video, then please leave a like, leave a comment. You can subscribe if you're new here, or just check that you're still subscribed if you've been around a while. I have cool merch available if you want to check that out with some really cool new designs, and I'm working on some other new designs at the minute as well, which is very fun. If you'd like to go follow me on Instagram, you can do. I post lots of really cool photos over there of fun things that I do, gigs that I go to, and all sorts of stuff. I'm also, I'm being incredibly lucky this year that I've been given a photo pass to photograph Tramlines Festival in Sheffield next month, which means I'm going to be photographing incredible bands like Franz Ferdinand and Pulp, which is just a dream come true for me. So I'm going to be posting some stuff over there about what I'm doing to kind of like prep getting ready for that, and I'm going to be hiring some nice new lenses and things like that, so if you want to see some photography content you can do that, and then obviously afterwards I'll be posting all my photos from the festival. It's going to be great. So you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm Rachel Oates with a 0 instead of an O. I've also got a second channel called More Rachel Oates if you want to check out more content from me. It's just way more relaxed stuff, sillier stuff, fun stuff that I make just for the hell of it. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, your effort, coming on this ridiculous journey with me today. I appreciate you a lot, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.